Hi everybody, it's Valentine's Day, and if you have a Valentine, then I really hope you have a great day. I don't, which becomes a bit of a theme of my Valentine's videos really, but there you go. But today I thought I would give you some advice on how to ask somebody to be your Valentine. Or more appropriately, just ask somebody out. Not least because today's Valentine's Day, so you're far too late already. So there are many traditional ways of asking somebody out. Let me first jump in and say this is not just for men asking out women. It should be for everybody, including women asking out men. Because it's 2019, folks, we've got to really stop that gender role kind of men only asking out the women, etc, etc. Obviously you're gay or lesbian, or if you're asking out somebody of your same gender, then not too much of a problem for you. There's no gender role thing in there, but you get my point, don't you? So this is for any gender asking out any other gender. Okay, let's start with the grand gesture. So what I'm talking about here is when you have a situation where you go and sing them a song to ask them out, or you buy them a massive bouquet of flowers and turn up. It's like, grand romantic gestures. So yeah, they are romantic and they have great rewards potentially, but also great risks, potentially embarrassing, especially if you do them in public. They can cost quite a bit of money, especially if you're not going to get anything in return, and really you've got to be pretty certain that the person's going to say yes to you, because otherwise you're going to feel pretty bad. I'm not saying that you shouldn't put effort into these things, but is that kind of effort really worth a 50-50 chance? It's the kind of thing really which you would be better waiting until you're proposing to your partner before you go on and do this big grand gesture. And I think that's particularly true if you're going to do something like writing a song or some other labour-intensive piece of work. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't do this. It has worked. It can work. But is it really worth it? So instead, why don't you attempt to send them a text or a private message? So yes, text messages still exist for those people younger than me. They definitely still exist. Or, of course, you can use private messaging service such as WhatsApp or Facebook Messenger, or some other way of sending them an electronic message of some description. Emails, I guess, maybe not the best way. They are slightly impersonal because you're basically getting some electronic text on a screen. But it does mean they are less embarrassing. It does mean it avoids the pressure of the moment, so you've got plenty of time to think about what you're saying. And actually, it can be a really good option for people that you don't know all that well. So you've met once or twice, and you've got their number, or you've got a way of contacting them, and you can send them a message to say, would you like a drink? Would you like to meet me at this place and have a chat? I don't know. Somebody who you haven't seen very much, it's probably a good way of kicking things off. But what if you know that person slightly better? What if you see them once a week or once every couple of weeks? Well, maybe you want to go down the route of writing them a actual physical letter. And I mean this with a pen on the paper. Yeah, I know it's 2019, but it's, traditional, but very romantic and very personal. It's tactile, the person can touch what you're saying. It shows some thought and some affection. It shows that you're actually serious and you're not just doing this on some sort of off chance. The downsides is that it can't really be too simple. I suppose you could have just a note, but that isn't really useful for people that you don't see very often. More likely, you're going to have to fill up half a side of A5, right? So it's got to be 2 or 3 paragraphs minimum. And they've got to have some way of contacting you back. There's no point doing this semi-anonymously. It's really good if you are already friends with this person, if you're trying to take your relationship on to the next step as far as you're concerned, and it's best delivered, in my opinion, by hand or left in a place where they are going to pick it up, maybe unexpectedly, but a place where you know they're going to go and see and pick it up and read at their own leisure. There is a disadvantage though, and that is you're not likely to get a reply if they're not interested, because if you're going to reply in the same way, then, you know, actually writing out a letter, it's unlikely. So unless they've got your phone number or some other way of contacting you, then potentially you're not going to get any reply at all. But the A+ star method of talking to somebody in person is got to be the best way of asking somebody out. There are, however, some situations where it's not going to work. So if you have only seen the person a couple of times and you're not likely to just bump into them again. If you always see them in a situation where there is a group of people and you can never get to speak to them on their own. I understand that it's really hard in those situations and you might want to go for one of the other ones. Letters, good, you know, letter. That's probably a good reason to have a letter. But if you do have the opportunity, then they are the most versatile and useful ways of asking somebody out. So it can range from an informal, do you want to go for a drink sometime, to some way of declaring your undying love. Although I suggest somewhere in between those two extremes. Probably best to go with, I really, really like you. I wonder if you'd do me the honour of going for a drink sometime. Yeah? Do you know, I made that sound really easy. It really isn't so easy to say that. Yes, you'll be nervous. Yes, you'll have butterflies. If you do, that's good because you care. But if you're going to do this, remember a few things. Firstly, never corner the person. Never put them into a situation they can't get out of. If they want to walk away or if they just want to say no and leave, then you shouldn't put them into a situation where they can't do that. It's also best done where you can't be overheard by anybody else. So that's not necessarily just you two on your own, but it could be, for example, in a big group where you just take somebody off to the side so that other people aren't just stood right next to you. Or it might be that you get there a bit early or you stay afterwards so that you can speak to this person. It is versatile because you can kind of gauge the situation and the reaction. You can also get a more or less immediate response. You don't have to wait for ages. So the problem with sending somebody a text message or sending somebody a letter is that you have to wait for the response, and that can, if you care and if you're worried about how they're going to react, can be quite nerve-wracking. And of course, this leads me nicely onto the final point, and that is for all these situations is to be ready for rejection. You absolutely cannot make somebody love you. You can't make somebody like you. It takes guts to ask, but you should be aware of the consequences of rejection. I find the best route is to expect nothing. Don't be led to believe in your head that just because you ask somebody out that they're going to say yes. Equally, don't be scared that they're going to say no. Just don't expect that they're going to say yes. But also, don't lose friendships over it. Obviously, you like this person. Obviously, you are friends with them potentially. And doesn't mean just because you've asked them out, you have to stop being friends. It's not the end of the world, you know? You're not going to hate each other just because one of you asked the other out and the other one said no. It shouldn't be any kind of relationship that breaks down because of being asked out. So if you haven't got a Valentine's date for today, then don't worry. If you're looking for one, it shall come soon. Maybe by next February the 14th. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a thumbs up. You can do that just down below. Take a look at my other videos because I make videos every single week, which is a really good reason to subscribe. And I shall see you next time. Bye-bye.